Hi, this is Kim with Scholarly Pursuits. Today, I wanted to talk to you about the weather. Now, I know you're probably like, that's the most boring topic I've ever heard in my life, unless you're a weather person or a storm chaser or I don't know. But the reason I want to talk about the weather is because I live in Ohio. Now, you might say, Kim, a lot of people live in Ohio. And if you live in Ohio, you know. Now, I live in Columbus, and that's even more variable. So let's just talk about it for a few minutes. Now, this may come across as like a mini rant. That's not the intent. I kind of want to share my life. This is all about something funny happened to me. And a couple of funny things have happened as it relates to weather lately. So y'all gonna come along for the ride with me. Okay, so this is what happened. The other day, I was at work, and sometimes I walk with my friend at work at lunchtime. Sometimes I may just read a book, but this particular day I wanted to go to the car because sometimes I just need to get out of that cubicle. If you're in an office or a cubicle environment, you know what I mean. I just want to get out of that cubicle. So when I do that, I'll just go to my car. I can't go far, because you got to get back to work at a short period of time. So I went and sat in my car. Now, this particular day, I sat in the passenger side. I don't typically do that, but usually I sit in the driver's side. But this particular day, I sat in the passenger side, and even though a lot of times I have all kind of junk in the passenger side, this time it was relatively, free, no gym bag, no lunch bag. So I sat in the passenger side. I'm going somewhere with this. So I start to open the door, and all of a sudden the door just got yanked out of my hand and smashed into this car that was parked next to me. And I was so shocked. Can you imagine? I'm just thinking about getting back to work, what I have to do at work. Well, then I was stunned. I was like, now what? And of course, I looked at my car first because, my car is important to me. And there was nothing wrong with my car. But then when I looked over at the other car, there was a large kind of scrape, it looked like. And then my heart sank. Now, I have car insurance. I don't necessarily want to use it, but I do have car insurance. And so I said, well, that car is kind of dirty. Let me see if I can just wipe it off. And maybe that's just, dirt, not really a scratch or scrape on that car. Alas, I could not get it off. It was a little scrape. It wasn't bad, y'all. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. It wasn't bad. I did take a picture of it. I took a picture of the license plate, and I did the right thing. Now, really, at first in my heart, I was thinking, are there cameras around here? I thought about all the times my car's been dinged, and Kim, that doesn't matter. And so I shuffled around in my purse. I was like, oh, I ain't gonna be late getting back to lunch and have to work later. It just, all these things were going on in my mind at the same time. And I wrote this note. And hopefully the person could read my handwriting, because my handwriting on the best of days is not that great. But I wrote my name and number. Now, probably where I went wrong is I started to explain what happened. Just say you hit their car with your car door. Call me if I owe you anything. And that's pretty much kind of what I said. But I went into the wind, took my door and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, but then I was a little nervous after work. I'm like, what if somebody's going to be out there and you messed up my car and all this kind of stuff? But the car wasn't even there. I didn't see the car the next day. The note was gone. But I did take a picture of the note on the window. So if like they got security involved or something and tracked me down, somehow my paper flew off the windshield of the car or something, I could say, listen, I'll put a note on the car. I'm sorry. I want to do. Now, I'm a Christian, and I want to live my life as Christ would have me to live. But that doesn't mean sometimes those thoughts don't go through my mind. So I went back to work, and it's been 3 or 4 days. I haven't heard anything back yet, and maybe I never will hear back, but at least I did the right thing. Talking about weather in Ohio. So it was the wind. I mean, who knew there was some tsunami in Columbus, Ohio last week? So that happened. So then a couple of days, no, that's not true. It was maybe a couple of weeks before, I came outside my townhome. I get ready to get in the car, and I noticed that. And I noticed there's all this dust on the car. So I wasn't paying that much attention. I was like, how did my car get so dirty? But whatever. So I was wondering how, I got that much dust on my car, because I didn't remember going anywhere like with dusty roads or backwoods or county roads or anything like that. And I was like, oh, well, I was trying to get to work. So that afternoon, I took my car to the car wash. I washed my car. Next morning, I get up, I get ready to go out to the car, and I notice the same dust. It looks like it's still on my car. And I'm like, how could that be? Because I did take it to the car wash. And then later on that day, on the news and different on social media, there was reports that there was this unusual dust that had been pouring in from other countries. I don't know if it was from forest fires or what the exact story was, but there's just this weird dust. And so people were finding their cars and everything coated with this dust. Who could this ever happen to but somebody in Columbus, Ohio? And I just thought about the weather, from wind to dust. And let me tell you something else that happens in Ohio, especially in Columbus. You can be on one side of the town, like especially the city, when it's snowing or raining or something like that. You can be on the east, and by the time you get to the north side, nothing. There's no rain, there's no snow. It can be happening different things on different sides of town in Columbus, Ohio. So the weather, I say all that to say, if you're traveling to Columbus, there is so much to do here. There's coast side, there's the short north, there's nightlife, restaurants, great parks and stuff like that. So I'm not discouraging you from coming. Come to Columbus, there's great people. But when you come, make sure you're prepared. I would say bring something for rain just in case. Bring a light jacket in case the weather turns unseasonably cold or warm. Be able to take layers so you can take stuff off if you need to. I mean, I'm kind of joking, but I'm kind of not joking. And those bordering seasons like spring and fall, oh, for sure, because summer comes later here and sometimes winter comes early. You just never know. Cannot trust the Weather Channel that much, or the weather person on the news. I mean, you can kind of use it as a guide in theory, but I would just come prepared, because the weather is all over the place. And half the time I want to be in the Caribbean, someplace where, it's so beautiful with the weather. But so that's what I wanted to say about Columbus weather. And then the other thing I wanted to say, sometimes you feel good when somebody validates what you say. Now, people talk about weather here a lot, I think. Like, what's the weather outside? Oh, it's this and oh, it's that. I notice it's a popular topic, I think, in Columbus. But the other thing that kind of validated recently, looking on that app, there's an app, is it the Neighborhood app or something like that? And there was a man's, I think it must have been his girlfriend or somebody on there, and she was trying to get someone to give her advice, because he had a regular job during the week, but then on the weekend he had a job. He was moonlighting as doing car detailing, and he was making appointments with people. But she was trying to help him figure out what other people did in this situation. For instance, when you've made an appointment with someone based on the weather, but then the weather changes. Do you cancel the appointment? Do you reschedule? What car detailers? Snow. I mean, that's just what we have to deal with in Columbus. But there's a lot of great things in Columbus, Ohio. The weather, you just never know. You just got to prepare for all kinds of things. But I just wanted to talk about weather because, as you know, it's all things about Kim, what's going on in Kim's life. And in the last month or so, this weather has been all over the place. Take care, and I'll talk to you later.